I touched on it before, the late and great Kathy Saban. I
Yeah,
loved Kathy,
yeah,
and but you now being the second woman in
yeah,
history in this role, that's obviously it's a massive part of sport that we need to continue driving and pushing. We've on the podcast we had Sue Antis on
yes,
relative.
yeah,
We had
yeah,
a big discussion. We've been trying to push empowering women weeks on the
yeah,
podcast. We've talked about the WTA in Riyadh. Trying to there's so much scope for us to do a better job. For you personally, how does that feel, and what does that mean for the future of leadership in roles like this, that you're able to champion that for
yeah.
for women moving forward as well?
Well, I'm delighted you brought up Kathy because she was very much a mentor for me. She was the person really who encouraged me to even put myself in the first place to the board and
Nice.
then deputy president. So I have a lot to thank Kathy for. And yes, I decided that when I became president that one of the things that we needed to address was not enough females in the sort of decision making level. And
Yep.
certainly we're not bad on the LTA Council, but we're only about 21 out of 53, so it's not enough. And around the country, something like only 27% of our member organisations have female chairs. And I think that was something I thought I could make a difference with. And I was also part of an ITF Advantage All programme that was led by Katrina Adams. Do you know Katrina?
I don't know.
She's ex-USTA president,
Okay, yes. So that's what came to my mind was the
and she
US
led a
UK.
program to try and, encourage across leadership a
Okay.
more gender equality. And I learned so much by being on that program, largely through COVID and online sessions and podcasts and meeting people like Billie Jean King and Katrina herself, and Sue Anstis has been amazing. I actually started up a program called Inspire for Women Volunteers. So I worked with Vicky Williams, who's at the LTA, and they had an Inspire program for colleagues on leadership. And we remodeled that along with the ITF Advantage All stuff to create a course for women volunteers. Very easy, 6 to 7 hours a month, an online session once a month to motivate. Takes a year, and it's been great. And then they've gone on to help nurture the second group, which we've just finished. And we're hoping to maybe scale that up and get that out there a little bit more and
Great.
maybe get more younger women into it.
Yeah.
These Young Person of the Year awards that we give, a lot of those are girls. And it would be great to nurture them further as future volunteers and as future leaders. So yeah, I'm all for that, and
Great.
I've loved doing that, and I've seen that make a difference to some women. It's been great.
Great. What about coaching workforce? Is
Well,
that does that remain a challenge? I know there's been programs, I know there's been
yeah,
pushes, I see it on the coal face of
yeah,
academies.
yeah,
We don't
yeah,
get many applicants, and from female coaches. That's maybe a little bit different. Obviously, that's maybe requiring a move to Spain. But,
yeah.
on the ground, are we starting to see that coming through more? If not, what can we do to continue
Well, there are
pushing
two
that
things to
change?
it. I think there's one, the coaching workforce, which isn't big enough to cater for what we've got, and the other is what proportion of the workforce are women. So on the size of it, we've actually got more registered coaches at the LTA and accredited than we've ever had before. But because we've got more participation, it's still not enough. So we're continuing to drive to encourage people to coach. So we can nurture them through the Tennis Leaders Program, encourage coaches to grow their own and talent spot these youngsters to see if they would be good coaches. That would be great. And then, as an LTA, our coaching team led by Merlin Van Brahms, I'm pretty sure you know Merlin,
Yep.
they engage with the coaches, provide constant online learning opportunities and opportunities in general for them. That I think we're doing the best we can, but it more still needs to be done, because I hear what you're hearing, which is there aren't enough coaches out in the clubs to like cover all the bases. So we've
Yeah.
all got to try and do a little bit more, and we've got to try and grow them from younger. On the women front, yeah, there have been lots of little projects, level 1 female only courses, and trying to get more women to recognise that it is a career opportunity. But more than anything, program administrators have got to recognise that women can be a really important part of their workforce, but they don't necessarily want to work full time.
Yep.
So
Absolutely.
we need program organisers to say, yeah, we are happy that you just do 4 or 5 hours a week.
Yep.
So we need to bring back I've been a part-timer on the coaching front all my life.
Yep.
Funnily enough, as a volunteer, I'm far from a part-timer now. But yeah, I think it's making adaptations around the fact that women are largely the family carers, and can give themselves a little less wholeheartedly to the job.
Yep.
Performance is a tough one though, isn't it? Because the women,
Very hard.
only some of them want to travel with players, maybe more team working so that they can be a part of a team that coaches a player. But that's a really tough one. I don't have
It's
a
very
brilliant solution
difficult.
for that. Do
No,
you?
no. I mean, to be honest, I had this discussion on the podcast last week, and is there a basically, is there an easy tennis job out there? No, there's not. It's
Yeah,
in the world of, especially once you go in the world of performance or any real level of competition, and the challenge that we have is burnout. Forget whether you're a man or woman; it doesn't matter. You know, burnout is a real issue. I believe in this space. You know, the more performance space, because that tends to attract ambitious people,
yeah,
and ambitious people get attracted to it, but then the pay versus the hours that you do doesn't tend to add up. So you have this massive balance that you're trying to get, or this massive equation of like ambition versus balance, and you know, not just ambition, but also, the ambition driving you to want to help, and realizing, well, that's my opportunity, and if I don't take that opportunity, someone else will take that opportunity. So I need to push, and I need to go to that tournament, I need to travel, and I need to, so. And none of us are able to sustain that forever, you
yeah,
know. So I personally see a lot of burnout happening with tennis
yeah,
coaches.
yeah,
If you then throw in real life,
yeah,
and you throw in, you know, being a mum of two, you know, wanting to, you know, naturally, you know, be a great mum, and take care of different situations. You know, I think, yes, we are 2025. You do get some situations. I was speaking to Candy Reid the other
yeah,
day, and Candy's awesome. And Candy, actually, she's the traveller, and she
yeah,
is often away
yes,
from her kids for about 3 months at a time, and her
yeah,
husband then plays that role. So it can obviously work both ways.
yeah,
But the reality is, whoever the person is that is more stay at home, it is very challenging. The flip side of that, Sandy, and you've mentioned that you have been a part-time coach from pretty much all your life. That's also one of the things I've always looked at with tennis coaching, and thought, actually, in some ways, it's the perfect
yeah, yeah.
mum job,
I
actually,
agree.
because there's not many jobs that you can say, well, actually, I'm picking my own times.
Yeah,
I'm getting an hourly rate, and actually this week I'm going to do 8 hours, and next week I'm going to do 12,
hmm,
and actually in 6 months' time, when I get my kid now that starts doing half days at school,
yeah,
I can maybe now do, you know, and I've always looked at it that way, and not that I'm not in the UK. I don't see it so much within clubs, but I would imagine kind of club coaching, it's almost the perfect job, actually.
yeah. I agree. It's been my perfect job all the way
Yeah.
through my life. So I completely get that.